Hola, mis amigos. Can you believe we've already been living in our new El Salvador home for 1 month already? Time has just flown by. Actually, today's my birthday, and if you stay to the end, I'll tell you how today went, which wasn't exactly the best day. But stay to the end, I'll let you know about that. But today, I'm going to give you an exclusive sneak peek at how much progress we made since moving day. Plus, I'll break down all the real costs of furnishing and setting up our new home and what we actually spent, affordable alternatives, and whether living in El Salvador is really more expensive than people say. You'll be surprised at what we found. Buenas tardes, mis amigos, y bendiciones para todos ustedes. Good afternoon, my friends, and blessings to you all. My name is Charity Hagenaars, and bienvenido a mi canal if you're new here, y bienvenido de nuevo if we're already old amigos. Si no habla inglés, ve a la configuración de YouTube y selecciona pista de audio para escuchar este video en español. O presione el botón CC para obtener subtítulos en español. Let's start with when you walk in the door. Right away, you'll see that we painted every room in this house. Now, obviously, you don't have to paint your rentals, and maybe some of your landlords will already have freshly painted your walls for you, like in our first house. We got the top line Sherwin-Williams super paint. There are also cheaper alternatives, and a gallon of this paint is anywhere between $44 and $49 when I bought it, depending if it was on sale or not. A 5-gallon bucket costs $2.15 to $2.23, again, if it was on sale. We bought it all different times throughout the month. I would run out and have to go get some more, so I get paid a few different prices. So far, I've purchased 2 5-gallon buckets of the Naples Yellow, 3 gallons of Endless Sea, 2 gallons of Resolute Blue, 1 gallon of Vigorous Violet, 2 gallons of Novel Violet, 2 gallons of Inverness, and 2 gallons of Roman Column. And of course, the other day I just ran out of Naples Yellow and I had to purchase 1 more gallon of Naples Yellow. So that was all the paint we bought. So far, we are going to get some white paint for the doors. It'll be like an enamel or something better for doors. Now here in El Salvador, it's pretty common to have to give your painter all of the supplies. And I swear I must have spent at least $30 on tape so far. As well as the rollers and brushes and extension poles and any extra rulers. So I pay for the labor, but I also had to pay for all the supplies. I think in Canada, if you hired a painter, they would come with all the stuff they need, the rollers, extension poles, the trays, the brushes, all that stuff. But here in El Salvador, it's pretty common when you hire people to do a job that you have to pay for all those supplies. And I pay the painter $20 for his labor each day plus a lunch. So again, you do not have to spend any of that money at all. In our first home, we just bought like a 15-gallon can of white paint to touch up the walls when we moved out because, as I said, it was freshly painted when we moved in. So this is totally optional. And you'll notice in our entryway, our shoe storage unit that we just purchased for $85 from Cubus. I found them on Facebook through the ads there. But we had old shelves that we used for shoe storage for the last year. It was only $6. So again, you don't have to buy this. But there are 5 of us, and everyone has at least 2 pairs of shoes, and they're always in front of the doorway. And it was just always a mess tripping over shoes when we were leaving. And sometimes the cats would knock over the little shelf with all the shoes. So yeah, I broke down and bought this one. I just thought it would look a little tidier. Also, Willem and Lawrence have really big feet, and sometimes their shoes are a bit too long for the old shoe storage shelf, so we thought this is a better option. But again, you might choose the $6 option instead of this one. And if you look into our dining room, you'll see that we have this custom furniture made. You do not have to do this. Or you could just buy the sizes that are available from Facebook Marketplace. Like these were custom size. See, if you want a china cabinet, or chinero as they call them here, there are a few options. I'll show you a few right here. I paid $1,780 altogether with delivery for this furniture that I designed. So this is totally optional. You don't have to design your own furniture. Now you can see our table. We got a table that seats 8 as we envision many people gathering around with us. Maybe you don't have 5 people in your family to start with. Maybe you only need a table that seats 4 or 6. Those are cheaper. We paid $450 for our table set. But here are some options. The sofa set that we bought was the cheapest one that you can buy, and they were $160 each set, and as you can see, we bought 2 sets. And again, it depends on the size of your family. You may only need 1. We brought this TV from Canada. That fan was from Vidri's, and I think it was $35 or $40. Let me take you into our den. Right now, it looks more like a workshop as my husband has stored all of his tools here until we can come up with a better place for them. We bought these robust shelving units from PriceSmart. They are around $100, but I see they have them for $85 now. And of course, there are many cheaper options made of metal or plastic, depending on the weight you're trying to support. And maybe you do not have this many tools because you didn't bring a shipping container full of stuff that you have to store. All of our TVs we brought from Canada. Now let's check out the boys' room. We just ordered a loft bed for the boys. This way they'll have a bit more room in the bedroom, and we were able to fit a sofa chair in there right now. They have a night table here that we purchased for $40. You know, the top isn't in that great a shape now, so I'm going to cover it with some of the contact paper. So they were not the best options, but you know, what do you get for 40 bucks? And we bought 2 of these tower fans from Walmart for about $40 each, and we already had to return one and get a new one, and this one here no longer rotates. So I wouldn't say they're the best quality, but they were cheap at the time, and we did use them like every day for an entire year. Now, the beds that we had were perfectly fine, and they were $175 each, including the box spring and the mattress. Willem's bed is still the same bed, and Lawrence is just using the mattress right now. So having beds was a necessity, but not necessarily a loft bed. This bed, and Annika's bed, which was the more expensive one, cost me $610 for a local company, like a mom and pop shop called Arte and Hierro Conchita de Zepeda. I highly recommend them. Dan met them and gave them a 50% deposit, and then when they delivered it, I gave them the rest. It came in many pieces, and they spent maybe like 45 minutes putting it together, and they did a really professional job. So let's look at Annika's room next. Again, her regular bed was only $175, and it fit fine in the space, but I really wanted her to have more room to play with friends and the toys we brought from Canada before she's too old to enjoy them. We still have to unpack all these toys and get them more organized in her room, but this is what we have so far. Here is the kids' bathroom. We painted it the yellow color, so it's super bright in here. It just needs a bit of decor now. Now, here is the air shaft. We asked the landlord to get us a little hat built for this space, as the water was just running down the wall and soaking in, and the painter had to basically peel off all the old paint that was on the inside of that wall in Annika's room. So this helped leave a space for the cat boxes now, and that little hat lets the air escape, but it's about 85% waterproof, depending on how the wind is blowing. So the cat boxes have stayed dry so far. We have this linen closet area here. We put Annika's $50 desk here, as her new bed already had a desk included, but it's not attached. It actually can move freely. I moved it to the side, and when they first set it up, they had it along the back. So let's look in the guest bedroom now. Now, our guest bedroom is currently being used for storage. In fact, the 2 box springs are here right now, as well as many boxes that we have left to unpack. So this room will be the last to be painted. So we have bought 3 of these desks here that Willem is using right after we moved, because we needed something for the kids, and these are really inexpensive. They were $50 a piece, and we bought 1 per child. So depending if you need a desk or if you can use your dining room table, this is an optional purchase, but it was one of the cheapest ones that we had. Let's head over to the kitchen. We removed many doors. The 2 lower ones beside the stove couldn't open with the stove in there, and the upper ones above the stove made it hard for me to reach stuff, and one beside the microwave didn't sit well in that spot. So we stored them in the top of our walk-in closet for now, with the hardware, so when we go to leave, we can just put them right back. Other than that, we've just been unpacking everything. There's still boxes here on the counter, and I have to organize these shelves better and put some decor up there. We brought all of our dishes that we bought in the Netherlands with us in our shipping container, and we have quite an extensive set that we've collected over 30 years now, since my husband first started bringing stuff over. So those are really priceless to us. We didn't purchase the top of the line appliances. We got the Mabe brand, as we were told they're made in Mexico and they do well with, dirty electricity. Even so, we did get a surge protector for the fridge, freezer, and the washing machine to at least protect our investment. The stove cost $365 and the fridge cost $597. You could get smaller appliances like a 24-inch stove right here at Maxi Dispensa for $170 instead of a 30-inch one. Or you can also just get like a 2 or 4 burner cooktop. Our first Airbnb in Zaragoza had that and a toaster oven. That's all they had. And speaking of which, I bought this toaster oven for $59 when our cats broke our $20 toaster. And you can totally buy cheaper appliances. We bought a mid-sized microwave around $80. It's only 700 watts. I recommend a higher wattage, but that's just me. I'm very impatient when I'm trying to cook something. We bought our KitchenAid stand mixer, Instant Pots, bread maker, and all that stuff from Canada. Now the next room is our pantry and food preservation area. We purchased the stainless steel table, $145 from PriceSmart, to hold our freeze dryer that we brought from Canada. Actually, everything on this table we brought from Canada. I also bought this little cart from PriceSmart for I think around $30 to $40. That's on the right side of the freeze dryer. I don't think they sell it anymore. I can't see it on the website anymore. The red thing in the corner is a corker that we brought from Canada along with other bottling supplies. We had to buy a garbage can, but I really hate this one. If you can load the garbage can. I want one with the pedal and the lid that closes down, but those are really expensive here. I want one that doesn't cost $80. It's just a garbage can. But these things can be hard to find, so this is what we settled with. Now back here is our laundry room with a roughly $800 washer and $225 deep freezer. You can buy a top loader or a smaller size for cheaper. They even have those portable wringer washers like I had to use in Canada when our laundry room was being renovated and we had like 5 kids in the house at the time. And you do not need to buy a deep freezer, or you can just buy a smaller size. In here is our half bath, and we have this plastic shelving unit that used to be in our linen closet at our old house. I think we paid $56 for this. This is the cheaper option if you need storage. This black IKEA cart we brought from Canada. So let's move up the stairs where our painter just finished yesterday. He was finally able to do all of the wall. We had to go get a ladder from the organization here. We didn't think he was going to be able to do up that high because our ladder didn't go that high, or it would have to lean against the air conditioner. So we're very happy that the organization here has ladders that you could borrow for the day. So we did that. He was able to finish off all this yellow painting. Now, this upstairs is my studio. So remember the store Cubus I said I got my shoe storage from? Well, they made these 3 cabinets that I'm using to store all my craft supplies, as well as these 6 rolling cabinets with drawers. Now, the rolling cabinets were $129 each, and then the tall upright ones were $109 each. I also paid for them to assemble a shoe cabinet. So in total, the whole cost was $1,203, including the delivery. Again, you do not need to buy any of these things. These are all optional. I wanted these as they were like the ones I had in Canada in my craft room. And since I happened to bring all this stuff with me in that shipping container, I wanted a place to put it so I can actually use it. I'm not finished here yet. I still want like a dining room table or something in the middle to do some crafts on, and maybe a couple of comfortable chairs so Annika and I can do crafts together. Or I can put one of my sewing machines up there. Yes, I brought more than one of them with me from Canada, along with my knitting machine, and maybe one day I'll be teaching sewing class or something like that. I also bought this ironing board from PriceSmart. I think that was $45. Now, as we move into the master bedroom, we put all the boxes here so that the painter would have room to paint the craft room outside. So our walls are lined with boxes, and on the left there's the blind actually that goes in my craft room, still on top of the boxes. I got these 2 little desks that are like the kids' desks. Those are $25 a piece, and our printer that's on one of them here, I got that for about $225 from the RAF store. Again, you may not need to buy a printer. This is our bed here. That was $269. But we recently got these 2 night tables and headboard, and those were $255 with the delivery for our bedroom. My husband's desk over there was from Walmart, about $175, I think. And my vanity, or tocador as they call it here, is $260. Again, these things are optional, and there may have been cheaper options. We bought this fan when we didn't have AC for about $100. We also replaced the shower head in the bathroom, as the one that was there was clogged with all the minerals, and I would have had to like soak it in vinegar or something for quite a while. Plus, I wouldn't want them to have a hand towel part so I could wash my hair when I'm in the tub. That tall lamp is from Walmart. I think it cost about $30. I think everything else that we brought was with us from Canada in the shipping container, which again, that shipping container cost $20,000. Again, you do not need to spend that kind of money to move here. Also, this is a 4-bedroom house with 3.5 bathrooms. If you're a retired couple needing 1 or 2 bedrooms, you can find much cheaper places to rent. Now, we pay $850 plus $35 for security each month to live in this gated community. These are all optional, and there are places to rent from $150 to $250, not that far from here. They usually have about 1 or 2 bedrooms in there. And in the cities, if you're going to live in the city, you're going to have to pay more rent. So we're not in the city, we're outside the city. So imagine if you're a retired couple needing like a 1-bedroom house, queen size bed, say $269, a small table set, I can find about $100 on Facebook Marketplace, small stove, $179, a small refrigerator, $299, maybe an inexpensive washing machine for $350. A few end tables each, and a headboard for your bedroom. Say we buy the one we have, $255. A 40-inch TV for $209 I see here. Small sofa set, like we have, $160. Maybe some sheets for your bed, 30. Towels, say 20. Dishes and cutlery, about $30. Pots and pans, about $50. Some houses do not come with kitchen cabinets, so you might need to buy those for about under $300. Probably 100 to 200 for miscellaneous stuff I totally forgot about, like toilet paper and cleaning supplies, sponges, curtains, etc. You could get started in El Salvador for as little as $2,451 max for all the stuff, and then just pay $150 for rent and however much for the utilities. And if you have more money, you can buy more expensive things, but you don't have to. This is the difference between Canada and here. Here, there are so many options. So don't look at my monthly budget and say, I can't afford to live here. There are many options. And buy your produce locally like we do for max $20 a week for a family of 5. And pick up your other groceries at markets or cheaper grocery stores like Maxi Despensa. For 2 people retired, you might spend $100 a week in groceries if you ate your 3 meals and snacks a day and cooked everything at home. That would be like, I don't even know if you would even eat that much food, to be honest. Once the initial setup costs are made and the rest is just your rent, utilities, and groceries, your monthly budget could be quite small. And if you choose to buy a car, it's an extra cost, of course, but you could just choose Uber. And if you're not going out every day, that's probably a good option because driving here it can be tricky. Our community has people here that make food, like for lunch, for example, that we get for $3.50, including a drink, for like a piece of chicken or beef, and then you get rice and you get some vegetables. And I can get 20 pupusitas for $15.60. So you don't necessarily have to cook and still you can eat cheaply. So these are just some things that you can do in El Salvador without having to spend the kind of money that we do. We spend this kind of money because we have it available. And if we didn't have it available, we would not spend this money. We're not going into debt or anything like that. We're just trying to live within our means. But there were some things that we needed to get set up in this house. Like I did want the house painted because I expect to be here for a long time and I wanted to enjoy. I know it's just a rental, but I want to enjoy the time I'm here. We could be here for 5-10 years. I don't know. And right now we're just trying to get everything set up so that the house functions really well. As you can see, I got like boxes and stuff behind me. I want to get all that stuff unpacked. And in order to unpack stuff, I need to have places to put things. If you didn't bring a shipping container, you probably wouldn't have much stuff. Whatever you brought in your suitcase, whatever you purchased along the way, you could get set up here really cheap. So don't be intimidated by that. So as promised, if you stay to the end, I want to give you what happened today. Today is my birthday, September 6th. And I got up, it's Saturday morning. I already told the kids I wasn't going to teach English today because it was my birthday. I was going to take the day off. However, I still had to get Willem to school. So we get up as usual. My friend Stan has our van right now because that's a whole other video, but he already had the van, so I was taking out the Veracruz. Now, I hadn't really driven the Veracruz in maybe a couple of weeks. And when I went in to get into it, it didn't open with the key fob. And it's always a sign when the door doesn't open with the key fob, ding, ding, ding. I've had this happen before. I get in. I couldn't even unlock the passenger door for Willem with the button on the door. Another sign, ding, ding, ding. Put the key in the ignition, turn it, no lights come on. Okay, the battery is stone cold dead. So I thought, okay, I asked Willem, does he really need to go to school today? He said he had an exam. So I got on an Uber, got the Uber for him, texted his teacher saying he's going to be late. And then I found out Stan would be available to pick Willem up. So I said, Stan, can you pick Willem up and then come, we'll get the booster cables and we'll jump the Veracruz so I can get it going again. Because I wanted to go to PriceSmart today because we're having a big party here tomorrow and I wanted to get some stuff for the party plus some regular groceries. It's been about a month since we went to PriceSmart. So Stan came by. The battery in the Veracruz has these 2 little humps in the middle, which didn't mean anything at the beginning, but there's a whole harness that clips onto the positive pole. And even then it wasn't like pushed down really well. Like the harness attachment was about 1/4 of an inch above the pole. So Stan was actually trying to like bang it down. I got him like a rubber mallet. I got him I gave him a bunch of wrenches. I didn't know what size wrench it was. So we brought a bunch of wrenches out and then I find the adjustable wrenches and everything else. So finally we were able to like push it down far enough and then try to use the claw and the jumper cable to attach. And it was like having a heck of a time. It was just popping off on us. So Stan said, okay, he's going to take the whole harness off. So he just has the pole available and he'll plug it in and we put it in the van. Maybe 20 minutes go by, nothing happens. This is a very, very dead battery. And I've had some really bad luck with dead batteries in Canada. But usually it's related to cold because, it gets cold there. That's not the case here. So finally, I go back in and out and came out and then Stan was in the Veracruz and the alarm was going off. I'm like, oh, he must have got some juice to go into that battery. And he had the lights on. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I realized what he did. He actually took the Kia battery out, put it in the Veracruz, and he started the Veracruz. I said, what is your plan going to be here? You still need the Kia. The battery has to go back in the Kia. Because I actually thought maybe it just takes the battery out of the Veracruz, takes it to like a garage or something to see if they could charge it, or if I have to buy a new one because it's really dead. Really, really dead. Anyway, he got the Veracruz going with the Kia battery. And then he takes off the negative or positive first, whatever it was. He took the connections off the battery, and the car stayed on. Now, we had an old Mercedes from like 87 that worked without the electricity once you got it started, because we had bad experience that time with that car. But anyway, so he got the connections off the battery, pulled the battery out, put the other battery in, the Veracruz battery, put the connections back on. Now, the Veracruz battery had these humps in the middle, which made that harness not fit flat like it did with the Kia battery, which was a completely flat top battery. So, and they were like, was it this way or was it this way? It was like, no, I'm pretty sure it was like this, because the screw was in this direction when you're trying to tighten it. And anyway, it took him a heck of a time to get the thing back down again. He got it tightened and he hammered it. Anyway, it scared the heck out of me because the car is still going and he's banging on the battery poles with metal objects, and terrifying. Anyway, I was still a little bit afraid to take it just in case the battery wasn't actually charging, because obviously the car could stay running without the battery. He just proved that. But then he waited maybe 10 minutes, turned it off, turned it back on, it started again. Like, okay, it's safe. So we drove off to PriceSmart with the kids and came back with a whole bunch of groceries. And the car was fine. But yeah, that was how my birthday went so far. So now I'm doing the video. I'm going to edit it, get it uploaded tonight for you guys. And I hope you have a blessed day as well. See you in the next one.
Don't forget to hit the like button.